I didn't want that video to be a two-part thing, but my phone died. I was talking about this. This is also one of the first potential artists that I kind of got interested in through the project. Probably Milton Glaser. Might watch a documentary that exists sometime on this guy. This I enjoyed. It was like eating, a light confectionery. No, that's not true. It was lyrical and, well, no, it was light is really described throughout it. It is the motif, and it's cool. I love that subject. That's the heart of it. That's how James Agee was as a writer. He was obsessed with light and silence, and that unique combination. How can you evoke that in words? This was a cool day in the life of the painter Monet, Eva Figgis. I've heard of a book by one of her kids too, her son also. Good old Gilgamesh. And this was a good version. What do I remember in particular about this version? Very little. But this book is a part of my life. It's already deep background for me. There's a poet in the Norton Anthology of Postmodern American Poets that is like, my main influence is cave paintings. I think that's so awesome. Like, go deep. Really try to understand your influences. I want that to be an influence on me too. Cave paintings? Whoa. Gilgamesh is a good ancient one. This could be like 5,000 years old, maybe. Elements of it were copied into the Odyssey. That's crazy. Gilgamesh. Yeah, if your earliest drafts were written on cuneiform, on clay tablets in cuneiform with triangular-sided wooden sticks, that's pretty awesome. This one I liked. Maybe this is a good exercise, giving it a little more different brain space going through it all. And Scott Momaday, cool indigenous southwestern writer from Oklahoma, I think. But he had a real presence at UNM for a long time. Maybe not when I was around, but I heard tales of him a little bit. Just as a person, yeah. But it's funny that Monument Valley, Arizona is on the cover when the book is not that set there, really. Jemez Mountains, California. But yeah, I was glad I read this. I've been glad I've read all of these. What else was there? Oh, this cover was great. I looked up this artist. What did I learn? The Life of Lazarillo de Tormes, His Fortunes and Adversities. I had always meant to read this because it influenced Don Quixote. And I have 2 copies of it. It's weird. The larger copy I have from the New York Review of Books is just like a direct scan of this, exactly. Except a little on the back cover. But not only is this a beautifully designed book, I want to just collect all this cover artist's covers. I'm like, please, that's so cool. I love the kind of matte finish of it too. I kind of wanted this to be more extreme, If I were to adapt this, I would like give the kid. He's really like a very sympathetic little rogue. He's just hungry and tricks his various masters. Each chapter is a different master this kid has. But this book influenced Don Quixote, so that's a good reason to read it. It's thought to maybe be the first picaresque novel or rogue's novel. This book really, wow. Yeah, super cool. Glad I read this. Crazy high fantasy book with big ideas. Left me thinking afterward. Like Snow Crash did. Wow. Also sometimes funny and insightful. I think I underlined a lot of things I thought were good. When I discovered Tom Robbins, I want to read more by him. Green Mansions. Wow, this project forced me to read something I wouldn't have read before. Green Mansions. Because what is this book when you're looking at it? But it's amazing. It's so good. It's kind of between the romantic and the realists. And that's cool. Every edition seems to have a great cover. It's from 1904. That's so long ago. 121 years. I have videos about all these, by the way. And yeah, this is one of the first ones I read in the shelf. I mean, I've read a lot of the books in the shelf, but I mean for this project. A play with a crazy title. The Effects of Gamma Rays on Man in the Moon Marigolds. A big title like that can be a way to announce yourself. That's cool. I enjoyed this, though it's like an anxiety enjoy, like an episode of a cringe comedy. It was good. I've always been a fan of The Pigman Man, which I then reread. after moving it into the case, I was like, if I'm reading this other thing by Paul Zendel, I should also read The Big Man, because that was so good. And I know a number of people from my age bracket that remember this book very fondly. It's bringing a bit of like dark. My friend Ty was like, back in our day, we didn't read multi-serial fantasy escapist fare. We read a book about two young people that meet an old guy and then he dies, and it's kind of their fault. They have to live with that. Good one, Ty. Pretty funny. But that is literally what this book is. It's so funny. And it's literally true. The young adult fare was different back then. There was the whole neo-Gothic thing. That's what a lot of like the teenage girls read, I think. My older sisters were into that, and Little House on the Prairie, and The Outsiders, and The Giver. And talked about this one recently, and it was good. Yeah, it turned me around on Hemingway. I'm like, no, this is actually really good. Haters are gonna hate. Everyone's all negative on everything. This person lived in a different time and said stupid stuff, even for that time sometimes, or did this thing. But when it comes to this project, I want to read all the paperbacks that I have. I mean, it's a very carefully curated collection I got going on over here. And who knows, maybe in the final stretches, I'll let all these gaps between shelves fill up with books. Add some more. You can see it going that way. But until I read all the ones here, 190. Maybe it'll just be that. But now I have a point of comparison for this shelf. Check this out. Let me show you something. Squirrel. Look, I was gonna walk past her. Squirrel, why do you have to bite me? I'm trying to pet you. I love you. Squirrel's beautiful sister. Look at that pose. Sweet Pea. If Squirrel's a lion, Sweet Pea is an ocelot. Or some wild desert cat with tufts at the ends of its ears. She's great. Okay, it's fine to sit there when no one's watching anything, okay? But this habit that you cats are getting of sitting there when the movie's playing, I will move you. It doesn't work for me, okay? What a cat. Make that sound again for the camera, that was funny. I've always coveted this poster when I've seen it in teachers' classrooms. It's a poster for this old college in Santa Fe that I think still exists in some form. St. John's College, but that's not why I like it. I mean, it does sound like a cool school for people with some money. And look at these beautiful books. And I like that they've kind of assembled a canon here, but I noticed there's 2 copies of Dubliners from James Joyce. Is that just personal preference, or how thorough are we talking here about representing something? Because talked about like reading the canon is the schooling. So is this their definition of the canon? That's very interesting. Could they read all of these in the time it takes to get a college education? They used to say if you read the whole Harvard bookshelf of books, which is like a bookcase full of books, that you'd have the equivalent of a Harvard education. But then we found out that that was just a lie that Prisma was telling everybody. All right. But I love this poster. I've seen it for years in people's classrooms and houses and so on, and been like, I want that. Because I've noticed about 15 of the books that are in here are in the Paperback project. And I've read a percentage of them. But it's a real mix. It's not just fiction and nonfiction, but the nonfiction is a mix of different topics. So there's some science-y ones in there. But there's all of Dante's Divine Comedy woven throughout it. That's good. I feel like I could have sworn I saw 2 copies of something else, but for now. Anyway, I love this for my house, and it's laminated. Woo! And honestly, I like it so much that if I ever see other copies of it, I will get those too. Because, you know, I'm working schools sometimes, and there's free piles and all that crap. Libraries. No, it's not crap, it's good. There's an availability of books now. It's kind of devalued books a little bit. I remember getting a book when I was a kid. It was like, a book? Oh, Papa, a book. Do let me hold it. I grew up in Victorian England. But, like, this is a pretty cool poster. Brothers Karamazov is on there. That's awesome. What else? I would have given Crime and Punishment too, but I guess I don't have Crime and Punishment also in mine. cud in there. Do love Dostoevsky. Look, there's elements of chemistry. Rivals in there.